Hello everyone, welcome to a CS Watersports review. Today we're going to be looking at the RRD Obsession Big Air. So what do we know about the Big Air Obsession from RRD? So we know that they spent 12 months really dialing down into the smallest of details of this kite to make sure that it excels in its area of expertise. It's aimed towards the big air market, so it is that 5-strut, skinny leading edge, small diameter struts kite that is really designed for jumping high, looping well, and just being really stable and trusted in those strong winds. That's their marketing spiel from the website, which we all know with any brand they're going to say that the kite's amazing. But what we want to do is really dial down and kind of dumb down some of those marketing spiels, some of those things like the diamond grid that's on this kite, and actually trying to explain what they are. What do they do? Diamond grid doesn't mean anything to most people. So hopefully in this video, we'll be able to kind of dive into that and show you exactly what that is all about. So yeah, let's get into it. You're going to see some clips of us riding the kite. We've had this kite now for a few weeks. We've managed a few sessions on it, and we've really enjoyed it. It's not going to be for everyone, but if you're aspiring to that big air nature of riding, then it's certainly something you consider as being a good purchase for that kind of riding. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to look at is kind of our first impressions of the kite. Now, for people that don't know me, which are plenty who don't, I have been kite surfing for 25 years, mainly in the freestyle sector. Couple of times British champion, stuff like that. So I've flown a lot of kites over the years. So I like to, I've got a good feel of what a kite can deliver. And the first things that I noticed when I first flew this kite is it's a very powerful kite for its size. It certainly had very direct feedback through the bar. The first session that I had on it was around 18 to 25 knots. Most people were out on 12s. I had the 9. I was obviously super keen to get out on that 9 and see what it was all about. And yeah, that was the first thing that I noticed. That it is a super powerful kite, very direct back through the bar. I found it a little bit too heavy on the bar on its factory settings. So after changing that setting to a slightly lighter bar pressure, I found the kite was a lot better, and I could still really feel where that kite was in the sky, which was exactly what I needed. I did find in that lower wind range as well that you could tell the kite had potential to jump really high, but it needed to be powered for it to really give you that loft and hang time. It didn't really give you that vertical lift in the lighter winds that I was kind of expecting from a 5-strut kite after flying things like the Core XR8, the Ozone Edge and things like that. I was really expecting that rip off of the water. And I didn't really get that in that 18 to 20 knot range in my first session. But certainly when I got into the second and third session that were 25 knots plus, the thing really did rip me off the water and give me some really, really good hang time. It kind of took me unawares to begin with. But yeah, later on in that session, I really dialed down and got used to it. In terms of weight, it's what you would expect from a Dacron and a ripstop kite. It's certainly not as light as your Lula versions. You know, you're reading Hyper models, the XR Pro, and things like that. But it certainly didn't feel any heavier than a general Dacron kite. It's built really well. You could tell straight out of the bag that it was really solid. It didn't feel brittle in your hands. Which is good. And the amount of bridle points on the leading edge as well it's the first kite that I've actually seen with that many points. And once you get the kite in the sky, it is really noticeable why they're there. The kite was super stable in the sky, even when you know, you're out in 30 knots, 35 knots, the kite really did hold its structure well, and that supported leading edge is really good. And the rear line adjustable as well, like I said earlier in the video, being able to change that bar pressure is really important, because again, for me, I didn't like that really heavy bar pressure, but being able to change that to a lighter bar pressure straight away made a massive difference. It really trimmed that kite on how I like to fly it, which means in turn, customers, you guys at home, will be able to really fine tune the kite and make it work for how you want to make it work. So as we said earlier in the video, we're really going to dial down into some of the technical features of the kite. So first up is D2 double ripstop fabric. Okay, now what does that mean to the general public? So that is the canopy material. The material they use has limited stretch, it has more longevity, it has increased tear strength, which kind of speaks for itself, and it's the best weight to strength ratio. Okay, so obviously if they use stronger products, it can make the kite a lot heavier, which obviously a heavy kite doesn't perform as well. The limited stretch, obviously, it kind of aids then to the longevity of the kite. Okay, if the kite is stretching in all different ways, it's in 6 months to 12 months time, it's never going to fly the same. So those kind of features from the double ripstop enable this kite to really perform well. My personal opinion is that there are other materials that are used by other brands that may be a little bit superior to this kite, to the materials on this kite, but that's not to say these ones don't work brilliantly. And obviously, with every design of kite, the materials make a big difference on how they work. Okay, so the next part of the technical features in this kite we're going to talk about is the diamond grid. Okay, what does that mean? What does it do? In a nutshell, you will see quite clearly on the RRD Obsession is the cut of each panel is actually in a diamond shape. Now, what this does is this allows great stiffness in the canopy, and it also just stops that kite stretching in weird ways. So it adds to the longevity of the kite. And when you're flying it in strong winds, okay, when you're flying it in strong winds, obviously there's more pressure on the fabric, and with this diamond grid, it offers superior strength, and it adds to it a little bit of weight loss in that kite as well. The last thing we're going to look at in the technical side of the kite is the 45-degree impact absorbers that you'll see featured around the struts of the kite. Okay, now what that is a double up of layer of the ripstop set at a 45-degree angle away from that strut. Now what that does is as that kite impacts the ground or the water after a big crash, it spreads the load of that impact and absorbs it into the rest of the canopy. So it makes it just a little bit stronger, and really just sends that shock throughout the kite instead of hitting on one point and all of the stress being on that point. Okay, so to just summarize a few of the points that, again, that we enjoyed about the kite, in terms of pricing is always a big thing in the industry. Obviously, kite surfing's got a lot more expensive over the years. The RRD sits quite nicely amongst its peers. It's $15.15 for a 9-meter. And if you compare that to the Ozone Edge V12, that is $17.45 on the 9-meter. You can see it sits a little bit cheaper there. It comes in two colorways, the black and the orange. Personally, we had the orange. I prefer the black. I'm not a massive fan of big orange kites. It's a very Italian thing. Obviously, it comes from RRD, which is an Italian brand. They love orange. The bag is also a really interesting concept. I first saw the bag and hated it. It's a plastic material. Wasn't keen. But actually, after using it on wet, sandy beaches, putting it in its bag, the sand just falls off the bag. So actually, it's more of an engineered bag than a looks bag. And again, going back to its Italian roots, we used it on the global bar, the current global bar, which was really nice, had a real nice feel to it, which we're going to review in another video. So yeah, don't forget to head over to CS Watersports. Don't forget your 5% discount code when you sign up to the newsletter. If you need any more information or you want to get a demo on this kite, we'll have it available on demo at Portland Harbour. So yeah, give us a shout and we can get you out on one of these kites. We'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one and you found that it was nice and informative. We're going to keep these coming on our YouTube channel. So yeah, any feedback, let us know. If you'd like to know anything more about this kite or anything you'd like a review on in the future, then please do let us know, and we'll try our best to get that to you. Hope you guys get out on the water soon, and we'll see you in the next video.